The recent events in Ukraine have made the already frosty relationship between the EU and Russia even frostier. And this week's summit in Brussels between the EU leaders and the Russian President Putin is not likely to change that.
No, because we're dealing with the mindset of Vladimir Putin, which basically looks at international relations in a zero-sum game. Either you're with us or against us. So as long as he maintains this mindset, there is zero prospect of improving relations between the EU and Russia.
What is normally a 2-day summit was shortened this time to a meeting for just a few hours. And afterwards, both sides made it clear that there are still serious differences in many policy areas, including gas and energy, competition and human rights. And the European Commission President Barroso didn't seem to see any solutions in sight neither. Instead, he said that once again he raised the European concern about Siberian overflights, which he first discussed with Putin 10 years ago.
It is true that sometimes it seems that summit after summit there are problems that remain. Sometimes there are some issues like these ones in trade, in energy, as President Putin just mentioned, that become permanent issues where we have to agree to disagree.
Richard Cameron at the EU-Russia Centre here in Brussels thinks there's really no point in having 2 summits per year with Russia when there's so little progress.
Not at all. They meet each other anyway at G8, G20 summits, at the UN. You should have a summit only when there is actually something to say to each other. When you either have an important problem to resolve or an important agreement to sign, then you can have a summit. But having a summit just for the sake of a summit is worthless.
At Open Europe, a more Eurosceptic think tank in Brussels, they say that the EU should not talk to Russia before they can agree among themselves on foreign policy.
When you don't really agree amongst yourselves, then it may not be a good idea to actually try to pretend that you have a mandate and speak with Russia, because this may actually weaken the positions of the European member states.
At the European Policy Centre, another research body in Brussels, they do see a point though to have talks between EU and Russia.
There really is no need to hold quite so many summits. But having said this, it is important to have regular meetings just to try and push the agenda forward and just to make sure, because these issues are not going to go away. They're still going to be on the agenda and they still require cooperation between officials, between politicians. And so to have a deadline, perhaps not twice a year, but just once a year, can help somewhat to push the agenda forward.